Sophia always believed her love story with Lucas was something out of a novel. Bold, unconventional, and thrilling at every turn. While other couples found comfort in routine and predictability, Sophia and Lucas craved the edge, the adrenaline, the wild unknown. From their first kiss in a secluded alley during a midnight thunderstorm to their spontaneous trip to Mexico without telling anyone, they were never the type to follow rules. And now, after 2 years of passionate chaos, they were finally tying the knot. But even their wedding plans weren't typical. Nothing about their relationship ever was. The night before the wedding, Sophia decided to throw a small pre-wedding gathering at her father's estate. It wasn't some flashy rehearsal dinner with speeches and centerpieces. It was more like a private house party. Boozy, loud, and uninhibited. Just close family and a few childhood friends. The kind of crowd who wouldn't bat an eye at a few broken glasses or flirtatious jokes. The kind of people who thought mischief was just part of the fun. As the music thumped from the Bluetooth speaker in the living room and the drinks flowed like water, Sophia was glowing. She wore a silky white robe with nothing underneath, teasing the future just hours away. Her stepsister Eliza was there too. Quiet, reserved Eliza in a simple black dress. Sipping a cocktail slowly on the couch, Eliza was always a bit of a mystery to most. She'd moved in with Sophia's family when she was 13, after Eliza's mother passed away and her dad remarried Sophia's mom. Though they were never blood-related, they grew up in the same house and slowly formed a strange but deep bond. Eliza was the quiet moon to Sophia's blazing sun, always standing just behind, always watching. Lucas had always found Eliza pretty in an innocent way. He'd mentioned it once to Sophia months ago, half joking after a tipsy night out. Instead of being upset, Sophia just smirked and said, "I get it. She's like a forbidden fruit, right?" That sentence stuck in Lucas's mind longer than it should have. So now, in this chaotic cocktail of music, wine, and wedding jitters, Sophia felt something tugging inside her. A desire to do something unforgettable, a craving for a thrill that even she hadn't dared to explore yet. She was drunk, yes. But not so drunk that she didn't know what she was doing. Lucas was by her side, tipsy but coherent, his hand constantly on her lower back, whispering things in her ear. And Eliza, sweet, slightly red-eyed Eliza, was alone on the couch, twirling her glass, clearly tipsy but still present, her eyes wandering to Lucas a little too often. Sophia watched Eliza for a while. Maybe it was the champagne. Maybe it was years of buried jealousy or curiosity, or both. But something made Sophia walk over to her stepsister and sit down beside her. Her voice was gentle at first, teasing. "You look beautiful tonight," she whispered, brushing a strand of hair from Eliza's cheek. Eliza blinked, surprised. "Thanks," she replied awkwardly, smiling but confused. "Do you trust me?" Sophia asked suddenly, staring deep into Eliza's eyes. Eliza laughed nervously. "What kind of question is that?" "Just answer," Sophia insisted, inching closer. "I guess." "Yeah, I trust you," Eliza replied, her voice quiet. "Good." Sophia smiled, then leaned in so closely their foreheads touched. "Because I want to give you a wedding night. You'll never forget something wild, something we'll never talk about again." Eliza's heart raced. She could smell the wine on Sophia's breath. She laughed again, trying to brush it off as a joke. But Sophia wasn't joking. She leaned closer. Her fingers gently tracing Eliza's thigh now. "Come upstairs with me, with us." Eliza froze. Sophia's voice softened even more, seductive, yet strangely soothing. "You've always been curious. I've seen it in your eyes. Let's just stop pretending. No one has to know. Just one night. For me, for us." Lucas appeared at that moment, standing behind the couch. His shirt unbuttoned and his expression unreadable. "Only if you want to," he added calmly, his voice steady but clearly tempted. Eliza's hands trembled slightly as she looked between the two of them. She felt like her skin was on fire. She was drunk, yes, but her mind screamed in conflict. She'd always admired Lucas from a distance. How could she not? He was charming, bold, magnetic. But this was insane. Still, the way Sophia looked at her. Like a siren promising pleasure and secrecy and warmth, it broke her. She nodded slowly. Just this once, she whispered. Sophia took her hand gently, like a lover. Lucas followed behind as the two women made their way up the staircase quietly, unnoticed amidst the party chaos. The upstairs hallway was dimly lit, the bedroom door left slightly open. Once inside, Sophia turned, pulling Eliza into a kiss that was both shocking and strangely tender. Eliza gasped, stunned by how soft and warm it felt. Lucas stood at a distance at first, unsure how far this would go. But when Sophia glanced at him and nodded, he stepped forward too. What followed was a blur of bodies, tangled sheets, whispered moans and heat. It started slowly, hesitant touches, awkward stares. But then it grew. Eliza surrendered to the moment, to the thrill of it all, letting her inhibitions dissolve. Lucas was gentle, Sophia was bold, and Eliza was caught in the middle, drifting between pleasure and disbelief. They laughed. They kissed. They kept going. One round turned into two, then three. They forgot the time. They forgot where they were. They forgot who they were supposed to be. By the third time, Eliza had her head thrown back in ecstasy. Sophia was riding waves of lust like a goddess, and Lucas could barely breathe from the adrenaline. They weren't lovers or siblings or family anymore. They were just bodies and pleasure and oblivion. Downstairs, the music had quieted. Guests were dozing off on couches. Plates were half finished, and one man, Nathan the father, was beginning to wonder where the hell his daughters had gone. He glanced around the room, frowning. "Where's Sophia?" he asked a cousin nearby. "No idea. Haven't seen her for a while," the cousin slurred. "And Eliza?" The cousin shrugged. "Maybe upstairs." Nathan's instincts kicked in. A sharp jolt of concern hit him. He stood up slowly, setting his drink down, and moved toward the stairs, each step heavier than the last. Something didn't feel right. Something inside him already knew, but nothing could have prepared him for what he was about to see. Nathan never considered himself the emotional type. He was a man of routine, of order, of tradition. His hands had built the very staircase he now climbed with quiet dread. A staircase that had once carried sleepy daughters to their rooms after long school days. A staircase that now felt foreign, as if it were part of someone else's home. As his foot pressed onto each creaking wooden step, he couldn't shake the feeling that something had gone terribly, terribly wrong. The hallway was silent, oddly so. Downstairs, the muffled sounds of the party still lingered. Someone laughing faintly, a clink of a glass. But up here it was like stepping into a vacuum, a void. Nathan's brows furrowed. The door to the master bedroom was ajar, not fully closed like it usually was. There was no light spilling out, just a faint, rhythmic creaking sound. And he froze. A soft moan, then another. His jaw clenched instantly, his gut twisting into a knot. At first, he tried to rationalize it. Maybe someone had sneaked away with a partner. Maybe a guest had gotten too comfortable. But the sound. It was familiar. Disturbingly so. The moans weren't strangers. That was Sophia's voice. He'd know it anywhere. He raised her from bedtime stories to scolding arguments. He knew the sound of her laughter, her cries. And now this. He took a step forward and held his breath. More sounds. And then. Eliza, her voice, sharp, soft, unmistakably hers. Nathan's heart began racing in his chest, pounding louder than the floorboards under his feet. He reached out with a trembling hand and pushed the door open just a few more inches. The creaking of the hinges seemed deafening. Then his world fell apart. The room came into view like a slow-motion nightmare. Lit dimly by a single bedside lamp, he saw his daughters, both of them naked, tangled around the man who was supposed to marry Sophia the next day, Lucas. They were mid-motion, a haze of skin and sweat. Sophia was on top of Lucas, Eliza at his side, her hand across his chest, her mouth against his neck. For a brief second, Nathan's mind refused to register it. His body froze, but his eyes stayed open, staring, paralyzed by disbelief. Lucas was the first to notice him. His eyes opened mid-moan and widened in horror. Sophia turned her head, noticing his expression, and then followed his gaze. "Nathan," Lucas gasped, his voice drying in his throat. Sophia scrambled backward, yanking the sheet around her, stumbling off the bed, knocking over a lamp. "Dad, wait, this isn't what it looks like." Nathan didn't speak. His face was blank, hollow, like someone had erased him. Eliza, too stunned to even cover herself, curled her knees up to her chest, panic overtaking her as her eyes welled up with tears. "Dad, I was drunk." "I didn't mean to," she stammered, her voice cracking. "Shut up," Nathan finally muttered. But his voice wasn't his. It was cold, cracked, low, trembling with something ancient, something lethal. "I swear I didn't want this," Eliza whimpered, her hands shaking as she tried to grab a pillow to cover herself. Nathan's eyes twitched. "Don't you dare lie to me," he whispered, staring directly at her. "I heard you. I heard you." Lucas rose from the bed, hands up, speaking fast, terrified. "Nathan, please." It got out of hand. It was Sophia's idea. "Lucas." Sophia screamed at him, rage and panic blending into one. "Don't you dare put this on me." Nathan stepped into the room, slowly shutting the door behind him. That one soft click of the door locking sent chills down all three of their spines. His voice came out again. "Come." Too calm. "You three just destroyed everything." "No, Dad, please just listen," Sophia said, stepping toward him. "Don't move," he hissed. She froze. "You brought her into this." He pointed at Eliza, who sat sobbing silently at the edge of the bed. "She's your sister." "She's not really my sister," Sophia blurted, a defensive reflex she immediately regretted. Nathan's eyes narrowed. "Not by blood. Does that make this okay for you?" I didn't think." "No, Sophia. You never think." He turned to Eliza. "What the hell were you thinking?" "I wasn't," Eliza whispered. "I didn't want to. I was drunk. I didn't want to say no to her." "She seduced you, didn't she?" Nathan asked, pointing a trembling finger at Sophia. "She always did this, always dragged you into her mess since the day you moved in." "I should have seen this coming." Lucas took a cautious step forward. "Please, let's all just calm down." "Calm down?" Nathan repeated, almost laughing. "You're the groom. You're supposed to be marrying my daughter tomorrow, and instead I find you with both of them in my house, in my bed." He paced the room, breathing heavy, his chest rising and falling like a man about to explode. Eliza sobbed, her arms wrapped around herself, her eyes flicking toward the door. "Please, I want to go." "No one's going anywhere," Nathan muttered. Then he stopped. On the dresser, next to a plate of fruit and unfinished wine, was a small paring knife, stainless steel, still sharp from being cleaned that morning. Nathan stared at it for a long moment. Then slowly, almost thoughtfully, he picked it up. The moment his fingers wrapped around the handle, time froze. "Dad," Sophia asked, her voice small now. What are you doing?" He looked at her with hollow, lifeless eyes. "You ruined everything, both of you. I gave you everything. A home, a family. I took her in after her mother died. I raised you both. And this is how you repay me." Lucas's hands were still up. "Nathan, stop. Please don't do something we'll all regret." "Regret?" Nathan whispered. "You think I haven't been regretting since the second I opened that door?" He took a step forward, then another. And in that moment, the illusion of control collapsed. They knew none of them were leaving this room the same. Something irreversible had begun, something none of them could stop. Silence filled the room for just a breath. A single, elongated moment where time seemed to hold its breath. Sophia's eyes locked on her father's. She knew that look. She'd seen it once when she broke a window as a teen and tried to blame it on Eliza. But this wasn't the same kind of anger. This was hollow, cold, feral, like his soul had snapped in half, and the only thing left inside was rage. "Dad," she said again. This time pleading, "please, let's put the knife down. We made a mistake. A stupid, terrible mistake. You didn't make a mistake, Nathan interrupted, his voice disturbingly steady. You made a choice, and now so will I. He turned to Lucas, who instinctively backed, up until the back of his legs hit the bed. Nathan, don't do this. I swear to God, I never meant to disrespect your family. I love Sophia. You don't love anyone, Nathan spat. You're a predator. You used her, and then you used her too. Lucas's eyes darted toward the door. He knew he couldn't make it. Nathan was between him and any hope of escape. He tried a different tactic. You're right, I messed up. I deserve whatever's coming, but not them. Leave them out of it. Punish me, not them. Nathan's face twitched for a second. Just a flicker of a second. He looked almost moved. But then his grip on the knife tightened and he laughed bitterly. You'd love that, wouldn't you? Play the martyr. Make it easy. Make it all about you again. Number. You don't get to choose who suffers. Suddenly he lunged. The knife caught Lucas in the side, just beneath the rib cage. A guttural cry escaped Lucas's lips as he staggered backward, clutching the wound. Blood poured between his fingers, warm and thick. He fell against the nightstand, knocking over the wine glass, which shattered on the floor. Eliza screamed, rushing toward him, instinct taking over. Nathan, stop, please. She sobbed, trying to reach for his arm. But Nathan turned, his expression wild. Now you, he roared. I raised you like my own. I gave you my home. My name, and this is how you repay me. Eliza stumbled backward, falling over the corner of the bed in fear. I didn't mean to. I didn't. I swear. Sophia talked me into it. Sophia screamed at her. Don't you dare blame this on me. You started it, Eliza cried. You used me. Lucas was crawling toward the door, dragging himself, smearing blood across the hardwood. He coughed violently, his vision blurring. Nathan turned to Sophia now. His breaths were fast and uneven, his hands trembling. Do you even care what you've done? He said through clenched teeth. You just threw everything away. For what? A moment of thrill? You couldn't wait one night? I wasn't thinking, Sophia whispered. I was drunk. I just wanted us to try something different. Different, Nathan's voice broke. You humiliated me. In my own house with your sister. She's not my real sister, Sophia screamed. And that was the final straw, Nathan snapped. Then let me show you what real means. He shoved past the broken nightstand and stormed toward Eliza, who was frozen with terror near the corner of the room. Her lips trembled. She crawled backward, hands scraping against the wood. Daddy, please, please don't. That word, Daddy, ripped something raw open in him. And then the knife came down. The first stab was to her shoulder, deep and sudden. Eliza shrieked, her body convulsing as she tried to crawl away. Blood splattered onto the wall. Nathan grunted as he yanked the blade out and plunged it again, this time into her back. She screamed louder and Sophia watched, paralyzed in horror, as her sister writhed on the floor. The sickening sound of the knife slicing into flesh echoed in her ears like a drumbeat. Lucas, gasping on the floor with his face pale, tried to crawl toward them again. Stop. Please stop, he choked. But Nathan wasn't listening anymore. He stabbed Eliza a third time, then a fourth. She went silent after that, her eyes frozen in shock, her hands twitching weakly. Her final breath escaped like a whisper, as if her soul was trying to slip away unnoticed. Nathan stood up, soaked in blood, chest heaving. He turned around. Only Sophia remained now, the one who started it all. She backed up until her spine hit the wall. Dad, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, she cried, her face stained with tears. You're not sorry, he growled. You never are. You've always done whatever you wanted without consequences. You lied. You cheated. You poisoned Eliza's mind. You dragged Lucas into your messes. You walked around like the world owed you something. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. You killed her the moment you made her believe this was okay, he snarled. You took her innocence. You made her believe this was love. You think this is some game that you can play with people like toys and then throw them away? He raised the knife again. No, Dad, please. She was good before you. Pure. Sweet. She was fine until you came home after graduation. I shouldn't have let you move back. Nathan stepped forward, towering over her. Sophia dropped to her knees, hands raised, crying harder than she had in her entire life. I'm your daughter, she whimpered. Please, he paused. The knife trembled in his hand. And then I was proud of you, he said softly. Once, and with a final heart-wrenching cry, he drove the knife into her chest. Sophia gasped, sharp, short, like her lungs were suddenly made of fire. She collapsed forward into his arms, her blood soaking his shirt. Her mouth opened to speak, but no words came. Just a shiver. Then nothing. Nathan let her body fall beside Eliza's. Then there was silence again, a deep, deafening silence that felt like it swallowed the room whole. Only Lucas remained alive. Barely. His breathing was faint, his face pale and glistening with sweat. He watched in shock and horror as Nathan dropped the knife, stared at his blood-soaked hands and fell to his knees. For a moment, he looked like a man waking up from a long, violent dream. The rage was gone. Only grief remained. Nathan looked at the two girls on the floor, his daughters, and let out a low, broken scream. It echoed from his chest like a dying animal's cry. He grabbed Sophia's hand, then Eliza's, weeping uncontrollably as the full weight of what he had done crashed down on him like a tidal wave. That's how the others found him. Seconds later, a panicked knock came at the bedroom door. Hello. Is everything okay? Another voice. Why is it so quiet up here? When no one responded, the door was pushed open. And then the screams began. The screams that followed echoed down the stairwell like a funeral march, yanking the rest of the house out of their drunken haze. One guest dropped his wine glass. Another stumbled as she stood, her heels clicking against the marble floor in panic. People rushed up the staircase in confusion, their laughter dying in their throats before it reached their lips. And when they opened the door, time stopped. What they saw on the other side of that doorway would remain etched into their minds forever. The once luxurious master bedroom had become a slaughterhouse. Blood soaked the sheets, splashed across the walls and pooled into the crevices of the hardwood floor. Eliza's lifeless body was curled unnaturally near the foot of the bed, her eyes frozen open in horror. Sophia lay sprawled just feet away, one arm reaching toward her father's leg, as if she had tried to grab hold of him with her final breath. And in the middle of it all was Nathan, on his knees, shaking violently, holding both their bloodied hands like a child holding on to broken toys. His mouth hung open in a silent wail, tears and blood mingling across his face. Lucas was still alive, barely. His body lay near the door, halfway out of the room, as if he had tried to crawl for help. He was gasping, wheezing, coughing up blood that now stained his chin and neck. His shirt was soaked with it, his eyes fluttering open and shut, searching for someone to save him. A cousin tried to run to him, but stopped, frozen in place by the pure carnage of the scene. Call 911, someone finally shouted. The next 10 minutes were chaos, screams, shouts, sirens in the distance. Police arrived first, guns drawn, ordering everyone to back up. Paramedics pushed through the narrow hallway, stepping through a horror no amount of training could prepare them for. They attended to Lucas immediately. He was slipping in and out of consciousness, muttering Sophia's name under his breath. I'm sorry, he whispered. Tell her I'm sorry. He never finished the sentence, his pulse flatlined just as they lifted him onto the stretcher. Lucas was pronounced dead in the ambulance before he ever left the driveway. That made 3 bodies, 3 lives, all gone before the morning of the wedding. And Nathan? He didn't resist when the officers dragged him to his feet. He didn't speak. He didn't blink. He just stared down at his blood-stained hands, as if waiting for them to disappear. By dawn, the house was surrounded by news vans. The media feasted on the tragedy like vultures on a carcass. A wedding that turned into a massacre. A father murdering his daughters and future son-in-law. The story was too sensational to ignore. Headlines exploded across every platform. Wedding night massacre. Father kills daughters in Groom and bloody rage. Blood and vows. The night a family destroyed itself. I lost everything. Nathan's chilling confession rocks the nation. Every talk show, every true crime channel. Every journalist with a microphone wanted a piece of the story. People dug up old photos of Sophia and Eliza as children dressed like sisters for Halloween. They posted romantic engagement photos of Lucas and Sophia by the lake. Happy faces, unknowing, innocent, and then the mugshot. Nathan's face empty, pale, aged overnight. It became the image of devastation. Nathan was charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder. The courtroom was packed on every trial day. Reporters lined the front rows and the public filled every seat, gasping and whispering through the proceedings like they were watching a tragedy on Broadway. But this wasn't fiction. This was the destruction of a family laid bare. When Nathan was first brought into the courtroom, he looked like a ghost. He wore a gray prison uniform, his hands trembling, eyes sunken deep into his skull. He didn't make eye contact with anyone. Not even his ex-wife, who sat in the back row with her hand over her mouth the entire time, silently crying. The prosecution painted the story brutally clear. A man driven by possessiveness and patriarchal rage who lost control and murdered his children when he felt dishonored. The defense tried to argue temporary insanity. They brought in a psychologist who testified that Nathan had shown signs of psychosis triggered by extreme emotional trauma. That years of stress, suppressed anger and internalized guilt over family dynamics had exploded in a moment of uncontrollable madness. But nothing moved the jury more than the 911 call played in court. It was from a guest who had witnessed the aftermath. There's blood everywhere. They're not breathing. He's holding the knife. Oh my God, he's just sitting there. He's not even moving. And then Nathan's own words caught faintly on the background of another officer's body cam. They betrayed me. I had to. I had to make it stop, the prosecution asked. Was that a confession? The courtroom went silent. When Nathan was finally called to speak, the room fell into a vacuum of stillness. He stepped to the stand slowly, shakily, like a man walking through a dream. He didn't have notes, no lawyer whispering in his ear. He just looked up and began to talk. I raised them, he said quietly. Both of them. Eliza wasn't mine by blood, but I never made her feel like she didn't belong. I fed her. I clothed her. I sang her to sleep. Sophia was always different, wild, strong-willed. I thought she'd grow out of it. He paused, shaking. I thought I was protecting them from the world, but I never imagined the thing I needed to protect them from was each other. People leaned forward in their seats when I walked in that room. I didn't see my daughters. I saw strangers, strangers wearing my daughters' faces. My heart shattered that night and something in me broke. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even expect to be free again, but I need you to understand. He looked down. I love them. I just didn't know how to survive them. The jury deliberated for nearly a day. They returned with a unanimous verdict. Guilty on all 3 counts of first-degree murder. The judge, his voice tight with emotion, delivered the sentence. Nathaniel Keller, you are hereby sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. May the weight of your actions remain with you every day. Nathan didn't flinch. He simply nodded. As the guards led him away, he turned for a brief moment, just a glance toward the public gallery, toward the seat where Eliza once sat as a child. Watching him read bedtime stories toward the absence of Sophia's laughter, echoing through the halls. Then he disappeared through the courtroom doors forever. The Keller residence was boarded up within weeks. No one wanted to live in a house soaked in tragedy. It sat at the end of the cul-de-sac like a mausoleum, quiet, decaying, a grim reminder of what was lost. Sophia and Eliza were buried side by side, their headstones carved simply. Sophia Lynn Keller, 1998 to 2023. She burned bright. Eliza Ray Keller, 2001 to 2023. She loved without fear. Lucas was buried in his hometown. His parents refused to attend the girl's funerals. They couldn't find forgiveness. Not for Sophia, not for the family that took their son from them. Documentaries followed. True crime podcasts analyzed every angle. Online forums debated whether Nathan was a monster or a man pushed past his breaking point. But no one could deny one thing. What began as a wedding ended in ruin. Love turned to lust, lust to betrayal, and betrayal into blood. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and like this video for more true crime video. Don't forget to leave your thoughts and theories in the comments section below. Take care and see you in the next video.